You will have the evening to rest and recover before the final test in the morning. We ask that you remain inside the student quarter. This is Conrad. Conrad will take you over to the dormitories.
Hey, what's our next test going to be like?
It really serves to sort you out. You are woken with a start. I've received some instructions, and she holds up an envelope.
Delve into the chasm's darkness, where your final test awaits.
We never actually asked Celine if this was a trick or not.
Yeah.
So we possibly could be getting bamboozled here.
You move enough of the rubble out of the way to actually reveal a small tunnel that digs underneath the rock wall. There's a great stone archway at this end and a stone door that is half covered by this pile of rubble.
There's bones.
The rune in the center of the door begins to glow. Glowing bones assemble into these 3 skeletal warriors.
No, let's stay on its
I'm
back.
going to hold on, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're trying to stay on the back.
Everyone be really quiet.
You see that you're in like a sort of like small crag of rocks.
Maybe we should go back and ask if that was what we needed to do, and if we needed to do something else, they can tell us what else to do.
Oh,
Hey, Conrad.
hello, Conrad.
Honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed. You lot showed promise, but here you
Oh
are
my
sneaking outside of the student district.
knew it was
You got to get back to the academy. There's the stuff's about
There's
to
an
start.
actual
Do you know
test.
what?
Wait, it hasn't started yet.
As the students file in, the tiles are emerging as stone pillars in these tiered seatings. The final test is about to begin.
Last night, somebody sent us into the cavern, almost to our dooms. And as proof, here. And I throw him the pendant.
And then looks back and goes, "Oh dear." The air is electric with silence following your outburst. The only sound that is coming from the newly erected amphitheater is the sound of the fountain behind the stage, where a dozen pairs of eyes from the staff members look down onto you. There's a crow that just flies overhead during the silence and just lets out a caw. You feel the weight of like 1,000 pairs of eyes behind you as well.
Eyes aren't that heavy, though.
Well, look, judgment is.
Yes, it is.
And you feel this immense sort of pressure weighing down. And I don't know, like, you two, how are you reacting to the situation? I know that you said last time you were a bit embarrassed.
Yeah, you were not consulted for this outburst.
I was not. I thought it would have been a much better idea to quietly pull the dean aside and have a word with him in private. But we're here now.
The other applicants that are like sitting in the lower, just to like sort of reset the scene, there's the lot of you who are sort of sitting on the ground. There's probably about like maybe like 50 to 60 new applicants coming in. There is a stage in front of you with the staff in front of the fountain, where 3 large banners hang floating in the air, and then there's the stands that have sort of erected up behind you with the current students sitting on it behind you. And the other students, the other applicants sort of sitting adjacent to you are kind of like shifting uncomfortably in their seats as you draw attention.
I'm like, I've just chucked the thing and I'm just waiting.
You hear a voice say, "How embarrassing. Isn't that the guy that fell over?"
That one gives me a little eye twitch.
And the dean, he's standing atop his soapbox on the stage. Today he's wearing a nice grape-colored suit. He pulls out a handkerchief and he sort of dabs his forehead as he kind of like, you can see he's a bit like trying to keep his cool as you've disrupted the ceremony. That
How
he's
embarrassing for the dean. Oh my gosh.
Are you saying?
Did you just do that as like ghost sound into the audience?
What a disgraceful display. Don't let the students get in danger.
Mr. Barlinson, is it, if I remember correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
I must say, this is conduct most inappropriate for an occasion such as this. If you had troubles with your accommodation and your stay last evening, you should have raised it with your
No,
student
I have troubles
representative.
being stabbed by a skeleton, and I point to my wound.
which is healed.
Oh,
Because
that's
Beatrice
right. It's
it.
healed.
I believe that there's a process for raising these concerns. You should have spoken to your student representative.
I did.
And you see like Conrad sort of like shrinking down in his seat.
Oh my god, how embarrassing for Conrad.
And he goes, Conrad, are you here? And you kind of like, look, Dean, I tried to reason with them. I assured them that this wasn't the time or the place to be making a fuss.
You didn't believe us to begin with.
And they were a bit irrational and frankly quite rude when they tried to present their concerns to me.
How dare you?
And then there's a voice from behind the dean, and you see that there is a gnomish woman that has arrived on the stage behind the dean. And the voice says, I'll take this from here, Clement. You see a gnomish woman who has bent down to pick up the amulet that you tossed up onto the stage. She tucks it into a pocket of a like turquoise blazer that's just kind of like loosely sitting on her shoulders. She has a thick braid of a shock of like really just vivid pink hair that runs down her coat, and she's got the gnomish eyebrows that you're familiar with that go out as well, and they're the same bright pink. And floating next to her is a curious looking object. It's kind of like this ornate lantern almost. It's got these sort of angelic curls of metal around a glass interior that seems to pulse with light as this voice emits from it. And she walks up to next to the dean, and she does some gestures with her hands, and the voice emits from the lantern. And she signs, "Good morning, everyone. My name is Wex Fizzlebrim. I am the Chancellor of the Academy, and I will take it from here." The dean sort of like steps off his soapbox and shuffles to the side.
You look suitably chagrined.
Yes, he looks a bit miffed and embarrassed. And she signs again. This does seem like a serious matter, worthy of attention. So if you'll allow it, I will invite you to come speak to me at my office after the ceremony is complete, and we can discuss it further then. Is that suitable for you?
Yes, that would be excellent.
Very, very good. Shall we proceed with the proceedings then? Shall we continue with the proceedings then? Although proceeding with proceedings makes sense.
We shall proceed. I just sort of nod and sort of realize that I've been standing for quite a bit of time, and there are lots of...
I like to think like Juniper's sitting next to you, and he just like tug.
Milo's tugging on the
I
other side.
just sit back down. I'm like...
There's kind of like a murmur that like ripples through the crowd, but the Chancellor continues, and she says, "It's always an exciting time of the year to see fresh new faces arrive at the Academy, ready for what's to come. I hope you'll forgive our unorthodox testing procedures. The board insists that each year we, try new things to keep the applicants on their toes, and sometimes they are not what I would have chosen. But I'm glad that all of you are here, most of you safe and sound. But today we are here to initiate your final test before entering the Academy. It is not a test of strength and not a test of speed. This is a test of character."
Yes!
I'm playing a character.
Hang on, I just lean over.
By making it this far, you have proven yourselves all worthy as heroes, but there is one final choice from an ancient tradition where we determine the path ahead for each of you, whether that is at one of various paths at the Academy or a path home for some of you. As you probably know, the Academy was founded by 3 legendary heroes, and she gestures to the banners that are floating behind her.
Wasn't the fountain also depicting them?
Yeah. So they're like floating above the fountain. So there's
yeah.
kind of like a row of them
Yeah.
floating above each.
Was
each
that the 3
luminary.
heroes, the Arcus, Gladius, and Clypeus?
Oh my god, amazing. And she
Good.
notes.
Wait, were Were there entrance materials we were supposed to read? Shit.
Gianni,
Yes,
don't
this
do
is-
this to us.
This is a multi-choice test.
It's my least favorite kind of choice.
You have to spell the names of all the characters you have met so far.
Oh.
Well, goodbye.
Yeah.
So she gestures to the banners floating behind her. So the silver one, and she says Arcus. And the silver banner depicts a strange alien cat-like creature with sigildry of a compass and a bow.
When you say alien, do I get any sort of hearkening back to strange things that I saw in the woods?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Alien more is in like it's unusual. Like it's a cat that has 6 eyes. Then she gestures to the gold banner, and she says Gladius. And above the dwarf is a banner depicting a Pegasus, a sword, and an eyeglass.
What?
And
What?
this might be on the test.
I'm just gonna
Yeah, it's okay.
review this later.
Yeah, it's okay. And then and Clypeus, she gestures to the copper banner hanging over the elf, and it depicts an owlbear, a shield, and a lantern. Should you pass your next test, you will follow in the path of one of these luminaries at the academy. You will receive mentorship from peers who are also on the same path, and will be encouraged to diversify your talents across the different paths. These days, I'll be honest, it's mostly an aesthetic part of your time here. They tell me it's good for merchandising, but
This is the Chancellor saying this.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Just to
Yeah,
context.
this is not us.
Merchandising.
The licensing deals are really what keeps the marble shining, if you know what I mean.
That's it. The test you undertook yesterday will provide us some insight into the path you are best suited for, and which one you may thrive in. But do know that at any time you may choose a different path if the current one you are in does not seem to suit your goals.
Not some sort of rigid, sorted by random clothing item style setup.
No, we're not going to sort you by evil, brave, good, or kind, smart or kind.
Evil, brave, cunning, or misc.
Misk.
Those are the most well-rounded people, though. They're normal.
The dean has prepared a small stand that he brings forward, and it's quite ceremonial. It looks quite old, as though it's sort of existed at the school for hundreds of years. And sitting atop the plinth is a coloured. It's kind of like a small pouch, the size of a bag of marbles. It's got sort of like a faded purple thread on it, and but it's got brightly coloured dots. Sort of scattered across it. She gestures towards the thing sitting on the stage, and she says, this here is the sorting sack.
We just did this
The
thing.
sorting sack.
This is the sorting sack. And then
The sorting sack to separate you sort from the sacking sort.
the rim of the sack actually rises up into the air, and the opening in it starts to talk, and it says,
Oh, no!
"Can I do a wee poem, ma'am?" And she goes, "Sack, we talked about the poem." "Oh, come on, just a wee poem." And she continues, despite the sack's outburst, and she says, "If you successfully draw one of the instruments, please, ma'am, just a poem." Fine.
Stanza. Soliloquy.
Haiku.
A mild
Haiku.
limerick. I'll take anything.
And as soon as she says fine, the sack launches into a, "Oh, come and hear the words of the sorting sack, to know who must piss off and who'll be coming back. Will you find the spyglass of Gladius, whose strength is their spirit? If there's a call to adventure, then Gladians will hear it. Maybe you're resourceful, with creative hands and mind. If you've the craft of Arcus, then a compass you will find. And if above all you value being stalwart, patient, and honest, then draw the lantern of good Clypeus, for that's where you will show promise. Just pray you do not draw from me a cold hard lump of coal, for the only way to fail this test is to have malice in your soul. So if you think you are worthy and show the traits that I am listing, come and step forward and give this sack a good..." And she grabs the sack by its gullet and goes, "That's quite enough, thank you."
cannot get a read on the tone this man can make, right? Like, I just have no idea.
No.
She and so after she grabs the sack's neck,
Thank you for that sentence that now lives in my brain forever.
it lets out like a small squeal. But the dean comes forward and like says, I'll take it, and sort of like takes the sack back, and she goes, right, sorry about that. As we call your name, please come up to the stage and attempt to draw an item from the sack. She proceeds to call out names, or the dean proceeds to call out names. And each student steps up onto the stage, and something quite amazing happens as every student, or applicant, I should say, steps up onto the stage, because a couple of glowing images of your journeys through the previous day start to sort of play back like little, like, you know, reels.
We get replays to keep us occupied while 800 students go up and line up.
100. But yeah, you basically get highlights of different students as they sort of are performing different acts. And each student goes up and places their hand inside the sack. And a couple of seconds later, they draw out something. So some of them are drawing out spyglasses, some of them are drawing out compasses, some of them are drawing out lanterns. A very small number are drawing out lumps of charcoal, which...
Do they look like villains?
Yes, one of them is a lich. Goes, damn it, I'll get you next year!
Puffs away in a smoke.
Yeah.
Do we see any choice highlights?
So I would say probably the most interesting ones to you, they're also like variations of what you experienced as well. But probably the ones of most interest to you are of Pit, Talon, and Jupiter and Juniper, as the three of them step up, called up individually. So when Juniper steps up, you see images of Juniper like trying to find reeds that he can tie rope with that can connect a rickety bridge together so that the three of them could pass across, and he's, you know, drawing plans in the dirt. And he draws out a compass from the sack and proceeds on. And there's images of Talon negotiating with Mossjaw, the troll who you met on your first thing, and you get like a bit of like vocals coming through the thing. He says, so if you tell people there's a toll, then they'll have to pay you, which means you'll get more of these. And Mossjaw goes, oh, toll,
motherfucker.
And then he draws out a spyglass and continues on. Pit, you see images of Pit jumping in front of a wolf that's about to pounce on Juniper, and then like jumping onto the ground and wrestling with it. You see another image of him sort of carrying the gnomish girl that they collected on their journey.
You mean the dummy gnomish girl?
The dummy gnomish girl. And you know, see him climbing up the cliff face with her. And he draws out a lantern from the sack.
Were you really disappointed by that?
Yeah.
And then it
there's just a little like
There's a little like boo from Ghost Sound, and like oh oh, I guess he's not that bad of a guy sometimes. Sometimes.
what a weird ghost sound.
very specific.
Milo the Korean nigger.
And then you hear in the same order, Kellen Barlinson. And you step up onto the stage, and there's images hanging in the air. It shows images of Kellen standing standing above Milo, who's on the ground, sort of defiantly holding his own against the spider. You see you negotiating with Mossjaw and offering cookies and trying.
You just hear Mossjaw.
Yeah.
Just back and forth.
Yeah. And there's what I would like to do here is I'll get each of you to step up individually, and then we'll try and just get everything sort of drawn at the same time.
Yep.
So you know, and so this is a bit of a montage, I guess. And so you put your hand in the sack.
Shoo.
Milo, you step up. There's images of you looking under the rug in the carriage to find the opening that was mentioned, distracting the spider with your mage hand, and you know, making the iron ball glow to appease Mossjaw. Beetroot, there's you saving the halfling from the spider and diving in and running out with it, trying to heal the coachman and trying to heal the halfling desperately, breaking up the scuff that happened with Pit at the end between Pit.
Is there a supercut of me saying, "What's going on?"
What's going on? Yes.
Do I get one of just the horse and I teleporting away?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. And each of you place your hand into the sack one by one.
Everyone,
No,
touch
I don't.
Gianni's sack, everyone.
Yum.
Such a luscious neck.
Are you getting that, Cam?
How to make everyone uncomfortable
Weed.
with one item of clothing.
No. Nobody liked that.
Please never show that anywhere ever.
And as each of you put your hand into the sack, you find yourself, when people put their hands into it, it's like a second before they draw something out. And but when you put your hands into it, you find yourself sort of, your consciousness slips away into a dark, empty space, and there's a spotlight just sort of shining down on each of you. And you're in there alone, obviously, because this is your trial. And you hear this echoing sort of omnipresent voice around you that says, "All right, just a couple of questions then. Just to get started, and look, don't stress. It's just to make sure that there's nothing weird about you, okay, before you come in here. You know, no malintent about the academy or anything like that. Yes, let's begin. What would you say is your greatest strength?" And I'm just going to basically go down the line and get each of you to answer these questions.
Kellen, can I see anything, or is it just empty
is.
void with a disembodied voice?
Empty void, a bright light shining down on you as though you're sort of on a stage.
I'm just gonna be like, well, I can think on my feet.
Milo?
I'm very humble.
Beatrice?
Then he goes. then he goes.
Yeah.
Sounds like who behind him.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess I always try to do the right thing.
Very good. And your greatest weakness?
I often have to think on my feet.
I'm too humble.
Sometimes I care too much.
My greatest weakness is your job in 5 years. Wait, what?
I don't always know what the right thing to do is.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Alive? I hope.
I was gonna say that.
But what are you doing with yourself if you're alive in 5 years?
I think I'd rather focus on tomorrow.
I'd like to have a house for me and my nan.
I want to help people. I want to be saving people who need saving and helping people who need help.
All right, then. And last question, then. Why are you here? And with this, I'd just like to hear, I guess, maybe a memory from each of you about what first sort of inspired you, I guess, to come to the academy before you give your response. Like, what are you recalling in the moment?
A day when Kellen was a young, like a very young boy, warding at his aunt's manor, and possibly had been receiving some formal education with his cousin, you know, a grammar lesson or some, you know, instructional day in the inside somewhere. Like, just wants to get outside and play, but is stuck doing, you know, educational things. Yeah. And I think as he is dismissed, he's very excited. Like, you know, come on. He sort of goes to rush out the hall and down the hall to rush outside to play in the back garden, but stops because he notices a sort of portrait on the wall with a little like display, and he sees his mother, who he doesn't really remember. He sees she's dressed in a full regalia, and I think he sees the regalia of a luminary and a symbol, and I think just sort of pauses at it for a moment, and then rushes outside to play. And I think that's the memory we get.
Cool. So what's your answer?
I think selfishly in the beginning, I think it was to find answers. But truthfully, I think I want to become something worthy of my mother's legacy. I don't know what that means, but I'm here and I'm ready to see the world, basically. And I think this is the best way to do that.
You feel something heavy in your hand, and you come back to your consciousness, sort of standing on the stage, your hand in the sack clasping something. Do you draw it out?
Yeah, I look down.
There is a golden spyglass sitting in your hand. Milo, what do you think was the memory that Milo thinks of in this moment?
I think it's kind of cut up into two. One of his nan, when he was as little as he can remember, is watching her stories take place in these illusionary theater, and even drawing him in, giving him heroic armor and all these little toys for him to play as. But and he always, since he was little, he dreamed of being a little bit of a hero. But the next memory is of him coming out of the forest alone, crying in the rain, and so he says, "I'd really like to find my friend and make right what I did wrong."
Cool. You feel a weight in your hand, and as you come back onto the stage and draw your hand out, there is a silver compass in your grasp. Beetroot, is there a memory that you would like to share?
It was when we were traveling through a town called Argendale, and I had the afternoon to myself, and I was wandering around. I was about 10, and I wasn't with any of my family. And as I was passing by a house, I overheard a father telling a story to his child. And he was telling a story about a hero who was saving, damsels in distress and villages from being set on fire and, just doing very heroic deeds. And I just ended up sitting in the little bit under the window and just listened to that until the story ended. And I'd never heard a story like that before. And hearing the child's response and excitement about the hero saving the day was magical to me. And yeah, that's the memory that I have.
And your response?
I'm here because I want to be a hero, and I think this is the best place for me to learn how to do that, so I can learn what's right.
You return to your consciousness on stage, and you feel in your hand the coarse, light weight of a piece of charcoal. And as you begin to draw it out, something that feels like a hand from inside the sack grabs firmly onto your wrist, removes the charcoal, and then you feel the cold metal handle of a lantern get placed into it instead.
And I pull that out.
And you pull out a lantern, a copper lantern.
My
shining
hand
in your
is shaking.
And yeah, sort of noise comes rushing back in. Each of you, as you each step off the stage, you hear sort of applause from the crowd. Kellen, a bit more tentative applause, I think, from your acquisition.
Yeah, and I give him all the stink eye through the spyglass.
It's one of those novelty spy glasses that leaves the black ring.
Oh, Saki.
Gotcha. The three of you are led down to stand in front of the stage with the rest of the students who have passed.
I'm holding real tightly onto this lantern.
The processions continue until all of the students have gone through the process. Probably overall about a dozen of them got sent home. Each of them are directed to sort of quite curtly go back to their dorms, get their bags and pack up and leave. But for the rest of you, you are still here. You have passed the final test. And the Chancellor steps up and she gestures and goes, "All right, I hope you're all feeling relieved, those of you that are still here. I want you to know that no matter where you've come from or what you've faced, you are family here. With those who stand next to you, with those who stand before you, and all of us who stand behind you. You will go forth now to be a shining light in the world, to be a light in dark places when people need it the most. You'll go on to lead yourselves and others to greatness. Now, you are luminaries." And a familiar sight of a sea of mephits rises up from behind the fountain again. But this time, each of them are carrying something. A long draped cloak that they fly over, about 100 of them, hover over the crowd of newly adorned students, and they slowly lower like little, fleet of helicopter drones.
Bump into each other a little.
And they come down and they're sort of like flitting in, and they're trying to find like the right people, and they start like hovering down once they do. And across each of your shoulders is draped a freshly minted cloak of the Forge Light Academy, which I have for you here today. This is going to be a bit of a strange process, but
Gianni, do your best Mephit sound. Oh my god.
we finally got here.
So good.
I lean over to Milo and I'm like, here, you should look through this. It's got like cool colors and stuff.
Oh, what is it?
And then he comes up and you also have...
Wait a minute.
You look at my eye and...
What happened to your eye?
Ah, gotcha.
Hey, Pete.
And then you see two like charcoal-eyed...
I think you should probably hold on to that. I think it's very important.
my god.
That's including your chair.
It's got my chair.
Yeah, you can fix this shit.
Damn methods.
I don't know shit. Yeah. And
This feels right.
That's... Oh my god, this is so lovely.
so yes, big thank you to Josie who made these amazing cloaks for us.
Thank you.
So glad we can finally use them. The ceremony comes to a conclusion. Everyone starts to mingle off. There's congratulations and chatter amongst the students who are now applicants who are now students, and the existing students as well. And sort of an air of sort of assessment as everyone kind of like inspects each other's clothes. What did you get? What did you get? And Juniper comes up to you afterwards and he goes, "Oh my god, guys, we did it. We actually did it. Yeah. What'd you get?"
What color buckle do you have?
Juniper has a silver buckle.
Hey,
Hey.
smart guys.
Just to be clear, are the buckle colors aligned with the symbol
The
colors?
path
The,
that you-
the path.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, to clarify, Kellen, you have been given the path of Gladius, the path of Arcus, and the path of Clypeus. Again, you can change those.
Anyone I know with a spyglass, possibly a ring of soot.
Who did I say? Talon. Talon has
Talon.
the spyglass. Yep.
I just want to also, when everyone seems to be distracted, just like check my hand that did grab the lantern and just see if I have any like.
There's charcoal on it.
I'm just gonna wipe that on the dark part of my clothing.
Terrifying.
And so Juniper's ecstatic. He goes, I can't believe we actually did it. I thought I was going to get sent home. I don't belong here. This is crazy.
What do you mean? You belong here. You pass a test.
Did anything happen in your test that made you think you weren't gonna pass it?
No, I was just asked like a bunch of sort of interview questions, and I just gave the best answer that I could to each of them.
I really should have been ready for the where do you see yourself in 5 years, but
It's pretty standard amongst sorting sacks, I hear.
I didn't. I didn't read the materials.
Yeah.
Do we get to like ever talk to the sorting sack to see how they came to the decision that they did? Just out of curiosity, I guess.
I don't know, and they've taken the sack away. It's gone.
He's trying to do one more poem.
It got put back in a very tightly locked chest and got taken away. You also see Esther, Robin, and Celine coming down from the grandstands as well, and they approach and congratulate you. And Robin looks a little bit sort of unnerved though, as you see that they like are kind of looking around a bit, and they're glancing at your sort of injuries as well.
Yes. I'm sure you've heard by now about our predicament.
That was a bit of a social suicide, if you ask me.
What, on our part?
Yeah, standing up in front of the crowd, in front of everyone, that was a lot.
Oh, you mean? I thought you meant going and almost dying.
Oh no, that's suspicious.
Yeah, who gave you this?
I didn't, and Celine was the one that received that
Yeah.
to give to you. Are you asking that to
Yeah.
Celine? Yeah. She goes, look, I was just given that late. Early this morning. I don't know. It was just a person in a cloak at the door. I didn't ask questions. They just knocked and handed me a pass. I didn't ask.
But
any
you've already
questions.
been through this ceremony. You would have known that that wasn't right.
I thought that like they change it every year. I didn't know what to expect. I thought there was a special task for you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I believe you.
I
do.
don't.
Okay, you can do a perception check.
It's a natural one.
You believe everything Celine says.
Celine, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Should have believed you from the beginning.
it's okay.
I hope the
It's
dead
fine.
body didn't scare you.
Please don't touch me. Yes, that was not the best thing to come home to.
We
I
really are the
will
most
admit.
sociable bunch, are we?
It was a bit.
I'm
for
trying
yourself.
my best.
Me too. But
Yeah,
I don't have to try.
can I ask, like, what is wrong with you? Why did you put an image of your dead body?
Because clearly someone wanted me dead.
we thought someone was out to kill us.
Yeah.
And,
I
we still
didn't-
think someone's out to kill us.
I didn't know that's what you were thinking.
We think someone might be out to kill us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why else would they send us into a cavern to die?
And that is when it finally clicks
yeah, that's what
for
I'm
me.
thinking. Like that's the days, nights events finally just like clunk into place.
Yeah.
Some people are bad.
We should talk to the
Yes, that
chancellor
was what
right
all of
now.
that,
That's really bad if someone's trying to kill us.
And Robin sort of like leans in and they say, look, I want to talk to you about that. I don't know what happened down there, but I'm telling you, there's something weird going on, and you cannot trust them. You cannot trust
who?
the academy. Like, what kind of academy lies to its students that makes you go through all of that just to get in? Like,
It's the system's fault.
It's the systems. This is what I've been saying all this time. Forge Light Academy, more like Gaslight Academy. Am I right? And puts like high five.
I'm too tall, too short.
Anyway,
Beetroot doesn't understand
Here,
the joke.
I have this conspiracy zine. It's only 5. It's only 5 copper.
anyway, I want some tinfoil hats. I think that if you found something, if this is something that they don't want us to know about, then they will try and cover it up. If you tell them that you know, if you give them the information that you have, then I don't know. I think we need to investigate it before they do anything.
Should we go back there?
Hence why transparency is the best policy. So making a scene in front of most of the school ensures that this is not going to get swept under the rug, isn't it?
Or makes us a target.
I know, but
But we could just go back down to the chasm and we could just go into the cave and there's a whole big thing down there and there's lots of dead bodies and they've got things like this pauldron.
look, as awesome as that sounds,
And I've got the pauldron and I'm
yeah, you
just
do. Yeah.
holding it.
that's pretty badass.
That's pretty cool, but please put that away.
Why?
Just in case.
But
No.
what if it's not the school? What if it's someone who
Beetroot-
just doesn't
all
like us?
Beetroot's right. We need to go talk to the Chancellor now.
Okay, all I'm saying is be careful and don't let on more than you need to.
Why do you think that they're bad?
And they gesture to the grounds of the academy and they say, "Look at this place. It is a seat of power. It has a literal ivory tower
That is a bit on the
in the middle of it. It is a fortress, and we are just part of a system that I don't know that I believe in yet. I think all I'm saying is don't take what they tell you at face value, and a little grain of suspicion will go a long
You'll
way."
get no qualms from me about a healthy dose of skepticism.
But
So,
but
let's just go see what they say.
But they're heroes.
They were heroes, and Milo points to the statues of Cleopas and Gladius and
Arcus.
Arcus. These are
My world is shattering right now. I am not dealing with this information.
I'm not telling you that the academy doesn't do good things, because it does. That's its whole purpose in the world, is to do good. And everyone does. A lot of people do good. I do good every time I go out on assignments. I do good, at least I believe so. But there is paths that people can go down, that organizations can go down when they try and do good, that aren't always going to be on the right side of the fence.
I get you. I hear you, Robin. I really do.
Okay.
I do not. I am having a
All I'm saying
hard
is-
time understanding
Your
this
message has been
concept.
received.
Okay. Well, anyway, do it with it as you will. I would just be careful about how much you let on.
I mean, aside from the fact that we almost died, we made it in.
I had a good time.
yeah.
I mean, it was quite fun. Again, almost dying sort of loses star for that, but overall, 4 out of 5.
Golem was actually kind of
It's
cool.
pretty cool, wasn't it? Giant stone golem.
Yeah.
You fought a golem?
We fought a giant stone
Really
golem.
big one.
That's so cool!
I killed it with one blow.
No, you
No,
didn't.
What?
No, I didn't.
Don't lie.
What? That's amazing.
It was pretty scary, but
Actually,
we.
to be honest with you, Milo did most of the work.
It's okay, Milo.
There is one more thing that I have to give to all of you, and that is your first ever hero points. So, these cards represent your hero points, which you can receive now that you are luminaries for doing heroic deeds,
things.
or for doing particularly amazing things, for doing excellent moments of role play, for excellent sort of narrative beats that you may introduce to the story. So it's both in-world and meta as well.
Are those anti-hero points next
Those
to it?
are anti-hero points, or peril points, as I'm dubbing them.
We'll get to them later.
We'll get to those later.
That's
Yes,
real.
freshly minted. Yes. So these hero points I will use slightly differently to how they typically work in second edition. So what you can do with these is at any time you make a roll with a d20, you can cash in one of your hero points to increase the success tier by 1. Up to a success. So you can't make a success a critical success, but you can make a critical failure a failure, or a failure a success.
So it's more of a safety net rather than a reroll.
Yes, yeah. So instead of re-rolling, you can just basically upgrade it straight away.
Okay.
So that basically guarantees that there's some payoff for using it, and not just rolling
Random.
twice and getting bad stuff. However, they will be in shorter supply. Normally, you would get one at the start of every session and get more throughout the session. I will reserve them for really cool moments. So
Excellent.
they're quite valuable. That
Like
also,
riding on the top of a stone golem.
yeah, that was pretty cool. And the other thing is, if you are dying, so if you have the dying condition and you're making a dying roll, they just work the same way. So you can increase a critical failure or failure to a success. It's not the standard. You cash in all your hero points, you come back to whatnot. So it's a little bit riskier to use in death. However, they function like universally across all rolls.
Nice.
Basically.
Nice and simple. I like it.
Yeah, you can also cash one in to make basically a narrative pull. So this is basically an opportunity for you to introduce something to the story that may not have necessarily existed before. So, for example, if there's a moment that comes up and you need access to a certain talent or a skill set that you might not have.
You can use it for a heist flashback?
You can use it for a heist flashback. Exactly a perfect example. So you can always go like, okay, I'm going to cash in a hero point. There was this time when I was doing this, and that way I do actually have a second crossbow on.
Hell yes.
Yeah. So
I love that
you
mechanic.
basically can introduce a narrative beat that may not have existed there before. This is obviously within discretion, so you can't be like, I have a dragon now. Don't do that.
What is it even for?
But yes, we can use that creatively as it comes up.
Excellent.
Maximum of 3 is the only other thing. But
so use them or lose them.
use them or lose them. They will be persistent across sessions though.
Okay, cool.
Cool. I think that's everything about that. Great. Is there anything you want to do before finding your way to the Chancellor?
I assume the mood's quite positive, right? Like everyone's a bit,
I keep
clap on
checking
the
my
back
hand
and
to make sure that
quite
I've
happy and
I've
everything.
cleaned all of the soot off my hands. That's
I'm gonna
Yep.
actually because I assume that Talon, Pit, and Juniper are kind of hanging out roughly in a gaggle. We've sort of all ended up congregated. I think.
Yeah. It's kind of like the 9 of you almost. But I think
Esther and Celine and Robin.
yeah.
Shall we? I mean, we've got to obviously go take care of business, as it were. But fainting fawn tonight, everyone.
Okay.
I think celebrations are in order.
That was Esther.
Talon, Pit.
All right. I guess I can have something.
You can relax just a little bit now, maybe.
I guess there's not going to be an evil attack on the school tonight, so
Exactly.
I can perhaps have a rest.
I look at Pitt and
What?
what you did on your initiation test where you jumped on
Don't talk
the
about
wolf. It was really cool.
Whatever. And
Okay.
Dylan jerk.
And then I think I'm gonna start stroll. I mean, I have no idea where I'm going. I turn and I stroll, and then I turn around and I walk.
Do you want me to
back.
show you?
So, Esther, yes.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind.
I go there all the time because the last couple of years I've gotten most improved every term.
Great, show us the way.
Okay.
My heart.
And so
How far can one rise versus how far had one already fallen? This is the question I need to know.
Everyone else sort of says their goodbyes and wishes you good luck and disperses. But Esther leads you up. And for the first time, you get to move out of the student precinct and into the academy grounds proper. So there's a main road leading up from behind the fountain that runs basically straight up the middle of these grounds that sort of widened up this sort of cliff precipice to where the administration building is, the most exciting building.
Is this
of all.
the literal ivory tower?
No.
No.
So yeah, the tower is almost it sits quite back from the academy, so it's kind of
on the hill.
It's kind of this peak sort of at the edge of the whole academy sort of sits on this slope going up to this peak.
It's almost
the
like
tower sits on the
because
peak.
it's like a lighthousey style.
Yeah. And this main road leads up to a kind of like grassy green where in the morning a bunch of students are kind of just lounging about on it. Some are having breakfast, some are playing, sports and throwing balls and whatnot. But
Throwing fireballs.
Throwing fireballs,
Hey, no, I said no
catch!
fireballs.
Hey, no fireballs!
Love that guy.
And the administration building is quite a curious one. It's sort of this semicircular crescent arc. It's probably like a couple of stories tall, but the most interesting feature about it is it's kind of got this organ structure atop it. It's these tall metal pipes that kind of are in this wide array that sort of follows the curve around. There's students that are starting to walk in, like it's basically just open, like you had an early morning ceremony and it's just open and students start to walk in.
There's a big line that says like lost ID cards, and that one's always the longest.
Yeah, always, yeah. So yeah, what would you like to do?
Well, we should go talk to the Chancellor.
I mean, we should go in and like. I'm assuming there's a front desk.
Yeah, you just have to talk to the receptionist and tell them that you're here to see the Chancellor. They should let you up.
Cool.
Okay.
Excellent.
Good luck.
We'll see you tonight, Esther.
Yeah, look forward to it. I'm really happy you guys got in. It's awesome.
Me too.
Okay, bye. And she
Throw
skips
on
off.
in. Yeah, throw on in.
So inside the administration building is this sort of large vaulted ceiling in the reception area that you're in, and there's kind of this circular desk where a number, like probably 4 or 5 different sort of receptionists or admin staff are working on different things. And yeah, there's queues for different students. Some of them are talking about tuition fees, or some of them are going up there to inquire about lost property or course selections or whatnot. And there is a bit of a wait as you get sort of shuffled through, but eventually there is a slot opened up, and a lizard folk woman who's wearing this sort of like florally blouse. She has like this deep purple skin and these little spectacles with a little chain on them, and she calls out, "Next, please."
I walk on up.
And she, without even looking at you, she's like working on some slates and writing some stuff down. She says, "What is the nature of your inquiry?"
We're here to see the Chancellor.
And she kind of like gives you a frank look.
Were you at the ceremony this morning?
I had work to do. I was not at the ceremony.
Well, if you were at
this
the
morning.
ceremony this morning, you'd know that we're here to see the Chancellor.
Do you have an appointment?
She specifically requested our presence.
She said to talk to her in her office after the ceremony.
Okay, sure. And she starts to like rifle through some papers, and she goes, "There's no record here. Did she give you a note or anything?"
No, she announced it on stage in front of 150 people.
And she sort of leans back and she says, "One moment, please." Gertrude! What? The Chancellor want to have a meeting with these people? Yeah.
Which way?
You may head in to see the Chancellor this once. If you head the back hallway, up the stairs, it's the one at the end of the hall.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gertrude.
Who the fuck are you?
So up the
Very
hallway
good.
we go.
Next, please. And the three of you pass past the desk, and you enter down this long marble corridor. You go up these winding steps that have these little windows that seem to look out of this sort of side tower. And you end up on what seems to be the second floor. And there's a long corridor with nothing except one door at the end of the corridor.
This is some weird architecture.
And it doesn't look like it's not like a particularly like embellished door. It's just kind of like a ornate kind of stone door.
Ready?
Yeah. Oh wait, it's swung.
Yes,
open.
as you
Swang.
it's swanged. As you knock on it, the door is ajar and it goes.
Hello?
There isn't a reply from inside the office.
I open it all the way and like have a little peek in.
Yep.
Just awkwardly being like, excuse me, hello?
So the office inside, the space inside is it's quite dark and gloomy. It's a kind of like a dome shape with one wall on the far side, which seems to be one long window, but the curtain has actually been drawn across the whole thing except for like one slither of light, which is casting basically a ray into the room and putting kind of like a gloomy glow on everything. But instantly there's like this smell of like soil and detritus, as you realize that the office is lined with a whole bunch of shelves and tables of plants. Most of them seem to be different types of like mushrooms and fungi. There's different like colored fruiting bodies and like long networks of root-like structures that seem to be hanging down off the shelves. And it is dank in here. It is moist
Humid
and just like
stuffy.
and there's like a large sort of classic mahogany desk kind of like on the far side facing the door, but it's got like a dozen cups, like mugs, just sort of like collected around it, and stacks of paper that is sort of left unread on
So
it.
like I go like, excuse me, hello. Oh God, hello.
But the Chancellor isn't in there. There's also a door to your right as you enter. That seems to be sort of the only other door out of the room. What would you like to do?
To be honest, I was kind of expecting her to be here. I'm not sure.
Should we knock on the other door?
Yes.
And I knock on the other door.
So you're going?
Yeah, we all step in.
Yeah.
Well, I step in.
Yep.
I'm just standing in the first doorway.
Oh, you're on the
The
threshold.
first doorway? Yeah. Cool. So, you step in and you knock on the second door, but there doesn't seem to be a reply on the other side.
Should we go back to the reception?
I mean, I assumed that they wouldn't have sent us up here if the Chancellor wasn't in.
Something moves on the shelf, on one of the shelves in the first room. You see what, from the corner of your eye, almost looks like a sprite, like a pixie or a fairy that seems to be like bouncing up and down on like a little like mushroom pad on one of the shelves.
Hello.
That's the only movement in the room. It gives you no response.
I walk over and give a little wave.
Yep. So you step up to it, and instantly there's a puff of this yellow
Oh, no.
spores
Oh, no.
that come out of one of the mushrooms, and the two of you see Kellen just get like misted with like this yellow kind of spore spray. Kellen, can you please make a will save for me, please?
All right. That is a 20. Dirty 20.
That is just enough. Yes. Get this like face full of just like almost like a kind of pollen.
You see Kellen just go like,
And it smells quite quite sweet and enticing. You feel like a bit of a brain fog come over you for a moment, but you shake it off, and you're left standing in front of the shelves.
and I just look at this pixie and I'm just like,
And you see now that the pixie is not actually a creature. It's a dangling shape on a stem that's come off one of these plants and is just bouncing up and down.
Oh, you've been played.
on the bed of a mushroom, and these tendrils start to.
I jump back.
You take a step back, and then instantly you see that there's these tendrils coming out of like the entire shelving, starting to feel around and spread
I'm
across
gang,
the floor.
gang.
gonna grab
back to the
you
door,
both
please.
and we're
Yeah.
gonna
And it
yeet.
starts to reach out and scrabble after you.
No, I'm just gonna leap. Just literally just leap and try and roll out the door.
Yep. So you take a jump. Can you give me a
Go for a tumble.
Oh yeah, acrobatics if you're tumbling. Yeah.
That's a 18.
18, cool. Yep. You feel like these tendrils at your feet as you leap through the door, and the two of you are you.
I'm
what are-
grabbing Milo by the scruff of his cloak and yanking us both out.
Yeah, and you both come out, and then this thing comes along the floor, like skating along,
Is
like
it
little
out? Does it come out
tendrils.
the door?
And as you close the door, you just hear.
See like some little vines that poke
Yeah,
out
these
under the
little
door.
tendrils like slip under,
You stand back.
and they pull back in.
Maybe we should go to the reception again.
As you get to your feet and brush yourselves off, you hear a voice from down the corridor. Sorry I'm late, everyone. Had to make a quick stop, pick up some things. Oh, is everything all right?
You've got a mushroom thing in there that wanted to eat Kellen.
This is the second time in 8 hours that we've been sent into a location without prior warning of
No,
hazardous materials.
the door's closed. You shouldn't.
The door's open.
When we knocked, it swung open.
No, it was open. It was ajar.
And you just went straight in.
Well, we poked our heads in to see if you were in, and then a plant attacked us.
I see. Sorry about that. I wasn't expecting it to be fruiting already. Anyway, I'll go in and just double check. And she steps forward.
We stand back. I imagine.
She goes over the door. And, I think we all just like.
No, Milo's closed.
Yeah. The lantern just sort of like bobs in the air next to you as she walks forward and like places her hand on the door and like turns a key.
To be clear, the sound is still coming from the lantern. Yes.
When she signs, the voice comes from the lantern. And she swings the door open and sticks her head in and goes, and steps in. And you hear just like a small shuffling inside. The sound of like some terracotta pots moving and just like stuff shifting around and a shelf dragged across the floor. And she pokes her head around the side, and she signs, "It's all good. Come in now."
And we step in.
Yeah. And you see that she has placed the plant that tried to attack you in a much bigger pot, and it's sitting behind her desk, and it's still got tendrils that are kind of like waving around.
Fairies.
But it's the bobbing fairy tendril is sort of like sitting on top of it. And she goes, "This one usually comes in a bit later in the season. I wasn't expecting that, so I'm terribly sorry. I didn't expect you to
Spray me in the
be
face
here."
with spores.
Oh, and how do you feel?
Fine, foggy for a moment, but mostly good.
Okay, no compulsion to, walk anywhere or do anything.
I don't think so.
What's that?
Interesting.
What's that plant called?
This one, it's actually it's a breed that I've tried to grow. It's actually the spores from a yellow musk creeper that I have tried to grow into a bit of a hybrid, but it hasn't really flowered that well in the past. It's been a bit unreliable, but it's good to see that there's positive effects coming out of this one. It's very exciting.
Amazing.
Positive is a strong term.
You found some mushrooms when we were down in the cave.
I did.
Do you like mushrooms? We found mushrooms.
She gestures to all the shelves.
I'll pull out one of the mushrooms that should still be glowing.
Yep, you had them in a little file, and she goes,
Yeah.
"Now that is something." And she steps forward and takes the file and looks at it. "Do you mind if I hold on to that for a bit? I just would like to do some experiments."
Sure.
We could get more because we know where the cave is. We can show you.
Yes, the cave.
Yes.
Tell me about
the
this
cave.
The cave where the golem tried to kill us.
She goes, "Oh, sorry, please take a seat." And she goes and sits behind her desk. There are no other seats in the.
I lean on the
office.
desk.
Yeah. You're just
Ground.
Pop a little like lean.
Yeah, and she just looks at you for a moment. He goes, "Now, tell me about what you experienced. Spare no details."
Milo, do you have the note?
I do. And I'll pull it out.
Do you want to?
All right.
You actually have the note.
Oh
yes.
yeah. I found this.
We were given this. Celine said someone in a hooded cloak gave it to her early this morning.
Well, arrived at our dorm in the middle of the night and handed it to her and said this was our next task.
And it has a map, and we followed the map, and then we went in a cave, and then the cave kind of ended, but then we crawled under the wall of the cave, and then there was this really big room, and there were the mushrooms in the room, but then there were also a lot of skeletons in the room, and then you cast a spell, and then the whole room lit up, and then all of the stones in the room turned into a big stone golem, and then it tried to kill us, and at the same time, there were all of the skeletons that also started trying to kill us, and we got a couple of them, But then we were on top of the golem because it was very big and scary, and so we just kind of sat on its head until it thought everything was okay, and then we came back out. And I got this, and I have the pauldron once again. This is from one of the skeletons. I found it on there.
And we recovered the locket, as I'm sure you still have.
When you pull out the pauldron, her face like blanches a little bit, but she keeps her composure as she listens to like the rest of the story, and then you pull out. Oh no, she has the locket.
You have the locket. We recovered some other artifacts from the remains inside the cavern.
We thought it was the test, which is why we went down there. And then when we got back, we saw Conrad, and Conrad was really annoyed at us, and he didn't believe us when we tried to tell him what had happened.
So she's been studiously listening to all of you as you tell your story, and she sits for a moment after you finish, and she says, well, I can tell you one thing. Conrad's an ass-kissing little shit, so I wouldn't really worry about having to deal with him at all.
Beetroot is having a day.
For somebody whose job it was to protect the incumbents, he certainly didn't believe us when we were in mortal peril. I was bleeding from my side, and he was questioning the veracity of our story, I must say.
He is a sycophantic ladder climber, and he spares no concern for the other Lambents. I am aware of this. I have been aware of this, so I am sorry that you had to deal with him, for one thing. But I am truly sorry for the experience that you had. It must have been harrowing.
I mean, it was pretty exciting.
Well, that's one way to look at it. I'm glad that you have that enthusiasm.
Do you know anything about what that is that's down there?
I have some guesses, and this is where I am concerned about you coming across it, and the fact that someone might have led you there, whether it was by accident or intentional.
It seems very intentional. There was a map to it.
This map leads to a cave that I am familiar with, and that a lot of the staff are familiar with. It is a place where students go sometimes to participate in activities that would not normally be allowed on the school grounds.
Like what?
Sig is behind the bike shed.
Substances that we do not normally permit onto the grounds. But as far as I know, there is nothing beyond that cave
It was
entrance.
fairly obvious, I must say.
There were lots of little bugs that were crawling through the rocks, and so we cleared the rocks, and then we could crawl underneath, and we got in, and...
We must assume the worst, potentially, which is that someone knew what you were getting into. And so I must ask, is there anyone that you have ill will with? Anyone that may have tried to lure you to such a place?
We've been here a day.
I mean,
How would we have made...
you know,
Well, that
Pitt.
you tell me.
Yeah.
You seem to have a...
Pitt's pretty rude, but I
penchant
don't know
for-
if he would have known anything about
I don't think he's smart enough for that, to be honest with you.
No.
fair.
judging by the brief experiences I've had with you, you three have a penchant for getting into trouble.
We
So-
have. We cultivate a
What-
certain
what makes you
notoriety.
say
I'll
that?
assume that you know,
Why-
our reputation precedes us somewhat.
Why would we be getting into trouble? I don't get into trouble.
Well,
You do now. Sorry.
I have some evidence to say otherwise.
What's that supposed to mean?
This
Don't worry.
this place, it seemed like there was more stuff down there. It seemed like there was certain
It was pretty old
passageways
ruins.
that were inaccessible to us. We are not equipped to fight giant stone golems, so we were not able to delve any further. And in fact, I count that as a blessing in disguise now that we were not motivated to go any further or attempt to delve any deeper. But you said you had a couple ideas. Could you perhaps be more forthcoming?
We have encountered similar locations around the academy and beyond as well that have a history. I'm sure you are all aware that the academy was built many centuries ago, and after the wars, it was turned into a educational facility. We have encountered things in the past upon trying to excavate such secrets that were not pleasant, and in all the power that I have at the academy and an entire staff full of seasoned adventurers, it still concerns me that there are things out there that we may not be able to tackle. And I know from experience that some things are best laid to rest where they are and left undisturbed. I would not want a repeat of what has happened in the past should we try and delve deeper into these places. So I must ask you to promise 2 things for me here today. The first is that everything about this discussion, everything that is said today, does not leave this room, does not go to anyone else except us 4. That the details of what you saw down there are not to be shared. The second promise that I must ask you to make is that you do not go back down there. We will take our steps to seal the cave and make sure that no other students fall down there unknowingly or otherwise, and make sure that it stays underground and that no one should come across it again. Can you promise me these things?
Why wouldn't we tell people what's there?
Oh,
You know what students are like. If you tell them there's a big magical door somewhere,
Also,
someone will go down.
you were there. We did kind of already let the cat out of the bag in a pretty major way.
You talked about getting attacked, and you talked about there being a cave, but you did not reveal what was inside, and that is the information that I would like to keep secret.
But why don't you want to find out what's down there?
As long as we make sure that it is what we think it is, then we'll
And
seal
what
it
is
off.
it that you think it is, aside from some nebulous relic of the past? If we're going to be...
I don't think that you are ready for that kind of information.
Why not?
You're giving us not a lot of answers and very little assurances, quite frankly.
We cannot draw attention to this fact. If we do, then
Oh, I don't want to put anyone else in danger. That much I agree with.
Can you at least tell us what this means?
But give us some closure, for goodness sake.
Who were these people? They must have died a long time ago.
We saw... This piece clearly holds some significance to you. That much was plain as soon as you saw it.
how familiar are you with the civilization of the Glacians? And anyone can make a society roll.
Let's make a
from that,
society roll.
because I don't expect any of you to know.
Rolling in conversation.
Natural 1.
Natural 20. I'm not kidding.
So that's
How did we do that? I'm so sorry.
That's so funny.
I know everything
with my
about
society stat, that's a 24.
Okay. What do you know, Milo, with your natural 1?
Yeah,
It's gonna be some shitty fairy tale.
Yeah, what do you know?
The Glacians are glaciers.
The Glacians
You're
are
confident you've heard this before.
the Glacians are slow-moving ice people that come down from the mountains once a spring to fight the Rivians.
I just want to check. You got sorted into Arcus, right?
It's a fairy tale.
Okay. No, but solid effort. And, you know, as an educational institution, we must reward you for trying. So thank you for your
What do I
contribution.
get?
About 2 thumbs up.
And as someone with a formal upbringing in a manner that had an extensive library, not the least of which include pieces collected by a former luminary, I of course would know what it is.
Yes, of course.
I would have received some.
Yeah. So this is like very this is like ancient history, but it is like very relevant to what you would have researched as part of your sort of noble lineage. But basically, like, over 1,000 years ago, there was a culture that was known as the Glacians, and they were a very advanced civilization that basically crafted these amazing places, such as the Academy. So the architecture in the Academy is all Glacian architecture. And they were responsible for creating some of the most powerful tools and technology and equipment that the world has ever seen, essentially. But as often happens when cultures advance and civilizations advance to the point where they create things that generate too much power, there are things that fall out of balance. And ultimately, what ensued was a vie for power from a lot of different factions. That the fallout from that essentially left what was known as the Glacian civilization to be completely dismantled, and from it, new cultures, new civilizations arose.
Yeah. Like the people didn't go extinct necessarily. It's just the culture.
The
was
culture,
lost
yeah. The knowledge was destroyed. A lot of the sites became sort of heritage sites.
Dark Ages followed, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as the result of that, that was basically the time when the original luminaries essentially claimed to basically try and convert these more sort of like military compounds into educational facilities.
So the luminaries kind of rose up out of that subsequent Dark Age to kind of try and restore some balance and order.
There are like the Luminaries isn't the only sort of faction that emerged out of that. There are other people who had similar roles to play in the evolution of society.
So you're telling me that we delved into a piece of actual Glacian architecture?
Well, you're in one right now. These halls, that is a undisturbed piece potentially, and it is not unlikely that what you encountered were remnants of a protective measure that was taken to try and protect whatever.
That's a
is
really
down
good
there.
security system.
And it seems like, and she gestures to your to the pauldron, and she says, "This has long been associated. This symbol has long been associated with what we know to be the people that tried to protect whatever was inside the Academy. And so it seems like if they have fallen in battle, then there was an outside attack, an aggressor that was trying to get in, which may have caused whatever calamity you saw down there."
And they would have been trying to protect, we could assume, militaristically magical artifacts.
So if they were all dead and the golem didn't kill them, then where was the body of what was
Who they
trying to
were
get
fighting,
in?
I don't have this answer, but that's why I hope you can understand that what probably lies down there is something of great potential and great terrifying power that I would honestly rather leave alone than have anyone have access to it.
I guess that makes sense.
I think I agree with that. Knowing that, I think your proposed course of action is wise. I would ask, purely from perhaps a vanity standpoint, could you see a way to allowing us to make an academic study of the things that we collected? Not with a view to revealing their origins, but they are interesting, and provided they're not dangerous.
This pauldron's really cool. I was really hoping to keep it. I won't show anyone.
I can't believe I'm about to say this. I trust the three of you to be discreet about this.
That's bold of you, considering what just happened.
I know. I'm aware of my foolishness in this moment,
But I
but
take your grace in stride.
I have to give you the benefit of the doubt in this circumstance.
What an idiot.
Go, Sam.
Milo.
Who said that?
Milo.
I saw you cast the spell.
No, it's,
It has a verbal component. We established this earlier. And then it just repeats, but louder.
You're an idiot! You're an idiot!
But it's
You're
like,
an
it's
idiot!
ventriloquism. That's what it is. It's like,
I am going to regret this. I can tell already.
I'm very discreet.
don't you worry. A word will not come out of my mouth about
I
this.
will.
And that is a Milo promise.
I
a little like shine on the teeth.
the Milo guarantee. I will not bar you from looking into this further on the provision that it is within your own means.
We will not attempt to re-access. I mean, I don't know about the Isle of Future, but I have literally no desire to go back
Yeah,
down
we're
there in a
not
hurry.
stepping a foot. In
We
there.
are not equipped to handle that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ready to fight a golem yet.
I just would like to perhaps
Yes.
learn a bit more about what we uncovered.
Curiosity is a valuable trait for any luminary, and I would encourage you to make the most of that.
Further to that, I would appreciate some additional resourcing in so far as finding out who did this to us. Discretion, of course, is paramount, but so is understanding why someone has a death wish on me.
And vengeance.
We could leave vengeance for a later date.
I am struggling to think of something that I could provide you with to help you. As far as your lead goes, someone gave you a note. Do you recognize the handwriting of the note? Do you...
No, but this is the sort of thing we could perhaps cross-reference with transcripts, exam records. This is the kind of thing where having a behind-the-scenes hand, because I'm sure, I mean, you could do an exhaustive search of various examination papers and things. I'm not saying that that's the
But what
first
if it-
port of call, but I'm just
What
asking
if it
for
wasn't
additional
another student? What if it was someone, a staff member?
cross-reference staff members' reports and things. I'm just asking for some resourcing.
I'm sure you can understand that is not something that I can grant you. I
Not
cannot give
not
you-
for us, but perhaps a liaise within your
Surely
staff.
you want to know who
Surely you
sent
have a
us there.
tribunal or a disciplinary body of some variety.
We absolutely do. And if there is misconduct that has been conducted, then absolutely we will be reviewing anyone who has been undertaking such things. But I personally I cannot do this investigation from my position. Asking people to look into records. And
Then would you simply permit us to make inquiries of our own accord, insofar as it is proper, given our position as students? Or
I
incumbents?
will not stop you.
Thank you.
Vengeance!
But that is the limit of the help that I can grant. From my position, you must understand who is looking at me.
But we're not in trouble though, right?
I understand we came very close to being in trouble.
This is a conversation I had with the dean before arriving here. We were leaning towards there being some sort of, it's an optics thing. People see that you have broken the rules, you left out of bounds despite the consequences, I know. But you did leave out of bounds. Some people may want there to be some sort of visibility of punishment. But we had a couple of young students, I believe your friends, persuade the dean otherwise, and gave their accounts of what happened. So this time I will say you received a warning.
Yes.
Is the best I can offer you.
I think we should take the deal, don't you?
Yeah.
As opposed to not.
As opposed to, yes, leaving, I assume is the other option.
The other
don't
option
wanna
is
leave.
yes, less pleasant.
I
think, for
really-
all of you.
I want to stay here.
The other option is 3 days in the sack.
3 days.
Get in the sack.
Please don't send us back there.
Actually,
Sack?
talking of the sack, is there any chance someone could ask it why it made the decision that it did?
A lot of people come through the academy and want to know why their purpose has been decided as such, why your fate has been read in such a way, but I'm afraid that the answer I can give you is that the sack is ineffable. It is an ineffable sack. And we try to only bring it out once a year on special occasions because it is not very pleasant, as you can see. But it is tradition to have the sack assign a path, and that we uphold. But no, I'm afraid we keep the sack securely locked away in a undisclosed location, and you will not have access to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Kellen.
I'm just.
Yes, I've heard the sack jokes before.
No, I'm sure. I imagine there's a whole section in the library devoted to them.
There's a lot of graffiti, I'll assure you that.
Then, in that case, thank you for your time. We'll be taking the pauldron and the locket, and we'll be on our way.
Oh, of course. And she fumbles around and pulls out the... Yes, I think it is yours to take. Again, I don't want to have anything more to do with it. I don't want to be found with such an item.
Cool. No spoilers for the scroll. I want to figure that one out.
You can have that one. Please make sure no one else gets hurt.
I am trying my best, I assure you. And
Consider a lock on your door.
well, it was look. I swear it was. Anyway, I trust you to take care of yourselves, and hopefully next time I see you, it is on good merit.
Yes, I imagine coming into this office is usually dark portents rather than positive ones.
I try not to normally talk to people in here, but I felt like this was a private matter that required it.
Is there any way we can get the warning removed from our permanent record?
We'll see how you go in the next term. If you do well, potentially I'll consider a revision. Good day.
I like it.
Goodbye.
It establishes
don't.
me as kind of a bad boy. You know? I've got to
Congratulations.
have a bit of an edgy reputation.
Congratulations.
Warning, kill.
Yeah, warning, Kellen.
Congratulations on your plant.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm very excited to see where it goes. Okay, take care.
Good day.
Bye.
And you head outside?
That actually went pretty well, all things considered.
Where are we now having this conversation? Are we walking
I'm assuming just in the-
outside?
I'm going to say
Corridor,
like
yeah.
outside, like courtyard. Like
Yeah.
I probably would wait till we
Okay,
get
out to the
outside.
green?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that track with what you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I'm envisioning
Just kind of like
us.
walking back towards dorms.
Yeah, I feel like we were very quiet on the way out of the corridor and out of the building as we passed the
Bye, Gertrude.
receptionist. What about what Robin said before? Did we just tell them where something really big and dangerous was, and then they're going to go and find the big and dangerous, powerful thing and then use it for their own nefarious purposes?
I don't think there was a way to not tell them where it is. The way I look at it is we haven't necessarily actively assisted them in any way.
I mean, I didn't actually say that I promised not to go back down there, so it's not technically lying.
I see.
I didn't think you promised.
See.
Chancellor's like tending to the garden and then just pricks her finger on like a thorn and is like, ow. No.
Because I noticed that you were like, I promise I won't tell anyone
Yeah, I
with
want
my mouth.
with my mouth. Yeah.
So you can write it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My feelings on this is that to be fair, you two could be a lot more capable than you've given me reason to believe in the past 48 hours, but we're not exactly top tier adventuring material yet.
Well, no, but
And that seemed like top tier adventuring material stuff.
I guess I just,
We can have another crack at it.
What
Kidding.
could we do to prevent them?
well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe we just check it out later when we're stronger and we've learned some more things.
I think if we want to go back when we feel we're ready, that's a conversation we can have then. But I imagine that'll be sometime in the future.
I just wonder what they're gonna do to the place until now. I wonder if we should just see what
they do in that area. Like,
I mean, it's pretty clear that it's a place that is known to them and is semi taboo. So I don't foresee. Excuse me. I don't foresee a very. I get reflux when I'm in difficult
Nervous and
situations.
stressed.
I don't foresee there being a situation in which we could go back without them noticing.
yeah.
It seems like that's the kind of thing that they're going to have their eye on, and indeed, it's pretty clear they have their eye on us now.
Yeah, I don't like that a lot.
No, me either. But I think we have to do
Our best.
Yes.
I'm just gonna leave around a ton more dead bodies, and
I
they'll
think
get off my case.
You, whatever your vibe, man. I'm not here to harsh it, but I don't know about you both, but I'd like to get on with the reason I came here.
Oh yeah.
Learning things.
Learning
Yeah.
things, meeting people, swashing buckles. I still don't know what that means.
And it's very convenient that you desire that right now, because tomorrow and next week is orientation week, kicking off with the fair day, which is the one of the days that a lot of the students look forward to every year, which is basically a market day of sorts where all of the clubs and societies come out of the woodwork. All of the students that are from staying at home have come and returned in time for the term to begin. And the place will come positively alive with activity and things to do.
We see this on like a poster as we walk past.
Yes, no, this
I'm
is
like,
a
I'm
flyer.
like swashing buckles, and then it just like
There's
in the
a-
face. I'm like,
Swashbucklers Club.
Yeah.
a week.
and so this is something that you have to look forward to after quite a difficult day to
First
begin with,
day.
or 2 days to begin with. The promise of the week ahead is enough to keep you energized,
Spring back into step.
Yeah, and enthusiastic as you return to your dorms and go to sleep that night.
Oh, wait, we're going to the Fainting Fawn first, aren't we?
Oh shit!
Oh no, we're gonna go to the Fainting Fawn first.
As you go to the Fainting Fawn and
Switch vignettes for the unseen.
and shit. As you and the others meet up at the Fainting Fawn, eager to see what awaits you in the next week.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! I guess we'll leave that episode today. Okay. I'm gonna clip that.